In the first 3 videos on interrupt service routines, or ISRs, we set up everything using the dashboard because it's so quick and easy. The cool thing about the Do More is you can configure interrupts in your ladder code so you can configure interrupts anytime you want. You do that with the int config instruction. Look, you can do all the same stuff we did via the dashboard right here. Set up event interrupts, timer interrupts, and register matching interrupts. That's exactly what we did before. But now you can set up and change interrupts whenever you want while the PLC is running. If you want to get rid of an interrupt event or deconfigure it, well, you use the deconfigure instruction and you tell it which event you want to deconfigure. Easy. You can also suspend and resume all interrupts. Suppose you have a supercritical process that simply can't get interrupted. Well, you just put a suspend at the start of the process and a resume at the end, and interrupts will be suspended during that time. This is also great for when you need to check the status of something and you don't want stuff changing while you're doing it. Here are some loose ends that aren't covered in any other ISR videos and a few things that are worth repeating. If you right-click on an ISR, you can change its name and decide if you want the ISR's data structure to be retentive or not. That is, should the latency, execution time, all that stuff stick around after the power cycle of the PLC. You can also password protect an ISR code block, but be careful. If you do this and you forget the password, the only way to recover is to reset the PLC back to factory default, which means you'll lose everything stored in the PLC. Also, this ISR ID is assigned by the system, so you don't have to worry about it, but it is a reminder that the Do More BRX PLC allows up to 32 ISRs, so the largest you'll ever see this number is 31. Remember that the immediate out instructions are intended for use in the interrupt service routines. You can use them in regular programs and tasks, but it's not a good idea because they take time away from the scan and make debugging your ladder code more difficult because they don't follow the normal flow of a ladder program where outputs are updated at the end of the scan. And finally, please remember to keep your interrupt service routine as short as possible. Why? Because it interrupts a scan. And if it's too long, it can interfere with the normal flow of your process. Well, that should be more than enough to get you up and running with interrupts. Hopefully you can see that the Do More BRX PLC allows you to quickly set up simple interrupts from a single input, all the way up to complicated interrupt triggers based on multiple inputs, dedicated hardware timers, and even high-speed input counters. All of which means, once again, the BRX PLC can pretty much cover whatever your project demands. If you have any questions about the BRX PLC, please contact Automation Direct's free, award-winning support team during regular business hours. They'll be happy to help. And don't forget the forums. There are lots of folks there that love to share their years of experience. Just don't post any questions directed at Automation Direct support team there. They don't monitor the forums on a regular basis. Spend less, do more with Automation Direct.